All right, I guess we're on. So hey everyone, we are on tonight. I'm so excited though. We are on tonight here with Mr. Leon Walker Jr. Um, as we move through the night, I'll just refer to him as Leon, if that's okay with you, because I'll go
Yeah,
interchangeably between Mr. Walker and Leon.
that's cool. Leon,
Um,
fine.
and so we are going to fine. All right, look at that first name basis. But anywho, just we wanted to thank everyone for tuning in this evening. Um, and we're not going to waste any time. We're going to jump right in. And as the night progresses, as people come in with their questions, we'll get to it. I don't really want to what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to keep you on too long because I have a proclivity to talk. And, we'll look up and we would have been on for 3 hours. So let's try to keep it within a reasonable amount of time so that way you can get out of here. And also, thank you for agreeing to come on at this time because I understand for the football people that tonight is game day. I don't understand sports. I'm not into sports. And so it didn't even cross my mind when I asked you.
Yeah. I'm into sports too, but it's fine. We're good. I knew what was going on, but my team is long gone, so it doesn't matter.
Who's your team?
The Cleveland Browns. I'm from
All
Cleveland,
right,
so
Cleveland.
right.
Okay, awesome. All right, so for those of you who don't know, I am Ebony Madre, owner and operator of Patchwork Human Services, where I provide mental health counseling to children and their families. We've been doing a lot of community chats where I really want to eliminate the stigma behind mental health. And so I've been doing all of these events in the community, not only to eliminate the stigma, but also to highlight local businesses. And so we have another event coming up next Saturday, which will be held at Polished Barber Company, where we will be talking about narcissistic encounters. And so I felt that it was only right to kind of step outside of the box and reach out to Mr. Walker because he does a lot of posting on all platforms. So make sure y'all go and follow his pages. And so he does a lot of talking surrounding narcissism and what that means, what it looks like. And so as a highlight or a segue into the event doing next Saturday, I reached out to Mr. Walker, and God saw fit that he responded. And so here we are tonight. So, is there anything you want to say before we jump in?
I'm ready.
You ready? All right,
Yep.
here we go. Here we go. All right. So, as noted on the flyer, the one thing that, or the topic, was a candid conversation between an empath and a narcissist, right? And so I do identify as being an empath, and early on in life, I had no idea what that was, what it meant. I knew that I could like genuinely feel the energy and the behaviors of other people. I love deeply, I tend to hang in there a little longer than normal with regards
A lot
to
longer.
all situations, a lot longer, right? And so I've always just looked at it as though I had a high patience level, right? That my threshold to be patient with people was like higher than most because naturally I wanted to heal and fix the people that I was connected to, right? And so
Right.
there have been times where, with regards to just being an empath, where I would feel something and I would speak to it, and people would think that I was crazy. Like, how did you know that? Or if something came to pass, they would kind of circle back and be like, Eb, how did you know? And I'm like, the Holy Spirit told me. And so it became this ongoing joke about the Holy Spirit just coming and visiting me and telling me things. And so as I began to learn more about that, then like just relationships and things like that, wow, this all makes sense. So it was perfect that, again, that you were able to respond and that we are here tonight to be able to have this conversation so that we could kind of bounce things off of one another and hopefully help and heal people that are watching through our own transparency. And so with that being said, what would you say or how would you describe what a narcissist is?
So to me, I mean, people know that it's like self-centered, right? the grandiose mindset. Look at what I've done. Look at me. It's all about me. Have a hard time telling the truth. Have a hard time with constructive criticism. Come from a broken family, dysfunction. Have been abused, neglected. This narcissistic people are somebody that, or at least for me, I had to create this person that you guys see now, and the people that saw me before therapy, which was a bad person. I had to create that person because I was always like I felt insecure. I felt unimportant. I felt discarded as a child. I felt given away. And after so long, it's like I can't. This stuff hurts. I don't like this feeling. And so automatically, to me, I'm not going to become an empath because I'm not going to look to take care of people and help people. And now I was like, I got to take care of me, right? And taking care of me, learning how to take care of me. It wasn't about love. It wasn't about empathy, right? So those are two things that narcissistic people don't have. They say, right? And it's like I built my life around not having that, not being close to women, not being close to my family. After we were broken up and my parents got divorced, that was the start of it. There were things before that, being molested and abused and taken advantage of and called stupid and crybaby and called a punk and a sissy and all these names and you all kind of stuff. And so it's like I became this person that I didn't know that I could become. I did a post today, and there was a time where I was scared of women, and I didn't like that. So the things that narcissistic people fear or don't like, they overcome by any means necessary. So if I have to overcome a fear of women, how do I do that? By studying women and then dominating women and then verbally or mentally abusing women. I wasn't a physically abusive guy, but mental abuse is just as bad. So I had to make them scared of me. And then so with me, I overdid it. I just kept going. And then I led into the military and just kept going, just never stopped. It was like I became addicted to the lust for women. I became addicted to making women cry. I became addicted to hurting women. I became addicted to being a serial cheater and a serial dater. The difference between me and a serial killer is that I don't kill women. And I know this sounds scary and spooky. I don't, but I killed their hopes, wishes, and dreams. Serial killers kill, I think it's like 3 or more people, and you consider a serial killer. But I was a serial dater, a serial cheater. And so the only difference between me and a serial killer is that I didn't kill anybody, but I killed their dreams, their hopes, and wishes. So I became this kid, this young man that was still a broken kid. Even at 30, 35, mentally, I was still 10, 11 years old. Because when my parents got divorced, my growth and development as far as morals, character, integrity stopped. There was no love. There was no empathy. I don't feel what you feel. I don't want to feel what you feel. I don't love. Don't talk to me about love. I don't want to hear it. Because it was a reminder of what I didn't get as a child. So I became that arrogant, self-centered, egotistical, mean, nasty, angry child to everybody else. And that's how it evolved. I've talked to therapists, social workers, psychiatrists, psychotherapists, psychologists, and 2 of them I was like, I was arrogant in their office, like, I don't need to be here. I'm the greatest thing ever happened to the Navy. And, so that's a lot of people don't want to go to get help. They don't want to face that constructive criticism, and it hurts too bad. I was the same way, and I was like walking out of the office being disrespectful on purpose. So that, me, to sum it up, kind of like narcissism, that was a lot, but there you go.
No, it was good. It was good because you did say a lot, right? But there were a lot of jewels that you dropped in saying that. And so, one of the things you mentioned was like just being you kill their hopes and their dreams, right? So being that dream killer. And like I think sometimes people play around with that and they're like, oh, so and so is just a dream killer or so and so is just a hater. But that stuff is real, right? And then it's like if I'm stunted or you're killing my dreams, but I say in the same breath that I love you and I want to be with you, the hope is that I'm going to get you to see me for who I am, right? And so,
with that, Ebony, when empaths do that, narcissistic people like me become very pissed off because I'm telling you, I don't want you. I'm afraid of love. I don't want love. Then you go, well, Leon, let's do this. We can do this. Let me help you. Let me fix you, Leon. You're a broken little boy. You're dysfunctional. Now I'm pissed off, and I don't want you to help me, first of all. And now I don't want to hear you saying that you can help me because I feel like I'm less than you. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut
Mhm.
you off. But yeah, that's what it turns into.
No. Yeah. So it definitely does. And so I wanted to kind of add on to that with um the the addiction to a Leon, right? And so it's like while you're saying yes, now I am pissed off at you or I'm frustrated because you telling me that you want to fix this or help me work through it. Now I have to go inward and look at myself. Now I have to acknowledge that something is completely off with me, right? And you're standing in front of me as this whole person, right? Something that I feel that I'm lacking, and so it infuriates me even more. But
And you
then,
know why?
what about the addiction? Oh, go
You
ahead.
know, infuriates me even more because now, in my mind, you're going to stay with me regardless. So why do I have to do the extra work, Ebony? Why do we have to sit down and talk if
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to leave me? You say, Leon, you need to fix this, this, and this. I'm like, I ain't fixing nothing. The sex is good. I'm funny. We go places. So no, you're not going to leave me because you're an empath. You can't just break away and leave me like that. And so I
Mm-hmm.
get becoming even more frustrated because like, nah, that's extra work I feel like doing. And that's why a lot of people don't go to therapy. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I love it. And like I told you, I want this to really be like a fluid discussion back and forth. So when a thought comes up, I want you to jump right to it. Because I think that that's how we help the people, right? And so that addiction, right? And I think that and I'll use this term, loving a narcissist, right, is no different than being addicted to any other drug,
I tell
right?
people it's a
Because you're
drug.
constantly
It's a drug. I become your drug, and I know that. You know why it's
mhm,
easy for me to become your drug? Because you're monogamous and I'm not. Until you'll think
mhm,
I am until you catch me cheating or until you start seeing things. But in that moment, or whether it be weeks, months, or years, you don't catch me. You think I'm monogamous, but I'm not. You're monogamous. And so I know that you're more addicted to
mhm,
me than I am addicted to you because I'm not going to allow myself to be emotionally attached to you. I give you about 30% of my emotions, but the love is not going to be there. The attraction is going to be there. The addiction is going to be there. The chemistry
mhm,
is going to be there. The sexual chemistry is going to be there. The mental chemistry is going to be there because I consider myself highly intelligent. I'm not, but I consider myself highly intelligent. So I have to act like I'm highly intelligent and in and around you, engage in conversation to make you feel good, to mentally stimulate you so you can have sex with me because it's all about sex and favors for me. Most narcissistic people want money, sex, and favors. Me was just sex and favors. So that's going to keep me happy.
mhm,
But the addiction, I'm going to be your drug. You're not going to be my drug. I'm not going to get close to anybody enough
mhm.
for me to be addicted to them. That's not how this works in my narcissistic mind. I want you and everybody else to be addicted to me. I'm not going to be addicted to anybody. And then if it starts to feel that way and you gain the strength over me, I'm going to leave. I'm going to ghost you. And I'm going to hurt you to where you like, okay, Lynn, you're going to take me
Yes.
back over and over and over again. And so you get that drug again. You get that dopamine over and over again. And I don't. I get my
Mhm.
dopamine from manipulating you and have you take me back. If even if I've cheated, it doesn't matter. Whatever I've done, curse you out, called your names, put you down, you're gonna take me back, and I get a rise out of that. I get motivation from that.
Mhm. Because you know, right? Like, oh man, I can say whatever, but when I come back, lovey dovey, knowing that there's really
Hmm.
no action that's going to be behind that story, right? And so, one of the things that I learned in life is that we have to pay attention to action, right? Because people can say things, and I'm real big on, and I'm I'm getting ahead of myself, but I think about like some of the posts that you did, even pertaining to gaslighting, right? And so then once you start to realize what it looks like, you become hypersensitive, hyper aware of the gaslighting that people tend to kind of exude. What has been your experience with just gaslighting the females, and you know and
Well,
also,
make
I do want to make it clear that we don't only gaslight the opposite sex, right? And we don't only gaslight people that we are in intimate relationships with, and how gaslighting can be done across the board in all settings.
right, exactly. As a senior leader, it was the same way to me, right? So, once you get a person to doubting themselves, right, the narcissistic person feels even more superior to that person. How in the hell can I make you think something that you're not? And when you think something that you're not, based on what I said that you were, even if you're not, I'm looking at you like you're stupid. I don't mean to sound disrespectful, but that's what's going on.
Mhm.
And as long as you believe that,
Mhm.
I'm going to be happy with being who I am, as dysfunctional and broken as I am, and as rude and as unfair as I am. I'm going to still think that there's nothing wrong with me, because here you are believing in what I'm telling you. Then you go, well, maybe I need to work on that,
Mhm.
Leon. Yeah, you do. And then at that point, you lose me. I lose respect for you more and more. I tell people, you have to
Yeah.
stand up to a narcissistic person. We're not tough. We're mean and nasty, but it doesn't come with any type of power. The only time I have power in what I say and do, as far as gaslighting and ghosting you and love bombing you and giving you the silent treatment, is when I see your body language, when I see you cry, when I see you beg me to not leave or not call you names or not yell and scream, please, Lan, don't do that, and all the tears. Once you lose yourself in my dysfunction, you lost
Mhm.
yourself for as long as we're going to be together. Only time I wasn't like that is when women held me accountable. My ex-wife held me accountable. She did. So a lot of things I didn't get away with her. I was still dysfunctional and broken, and I was still a
Mhm.
cheater. But some women I just like completely ran through and ran over. And I have regrets for that now. The
Mhm.
only reason why I have regrets now is because I went through therapy. I was taught how to process hurt and pain and face it and not run from it. I understand my feelings and emotions now. I can regulate them. People praying for me and being closer to God, and that's it. If you don't do those things, you're gonna die a narcissist. I don't want to die a narcissist. I don't want to die alone. It could happen, but I don't want to do that. The times that
Mhm.
I've had great times, all the times that I had verbally abusing women, cheating, tricking women, the gaslighting, the ghosting, the love bombing, all of that. That was fun to me, Ebony. That's why I didn't have any fear of losing anybody, because I knew I can go to another woman moments later. As sick as that sounded, I didn't care, because I wasn't really into,
Moments.
like,
That's the key word, right? Moments. I think that's the part too.
yeah.
Go ahead. I'll
And so,
circle back.
yeah, I did right, exactly. I could always circle back, or if I couldn't circle back, I'd find somebody else. And so
Mhm.
I'm new to the next person, but I'm old to the previous person, but new to the next person. So until I become old to the next person too. And even then, I didn't
Mhm.
care, because I was always chasing my own drug, which was lust and greed, when it came to women.
Yeah. And can you also talk about like just the way that when it comes to and you know what, we jump right in, Leon, right? And so a lot of people who are on here do not know that you were diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. Can you tell the people when you were diagnosed? I'm pretty sure previously or prior to you being diagnosed that you ran across women that were like, "Oh my God, Leon, you're such a narcissist. Oh my God, he has narcissistic tendencies." Then at what point were you officially diagnosed as having narcissistic personality disorder, and how long you yourself have been in therapy?
So I was diagnosed in my 20s, way back in the 80s, when it was like, in the military, you go see a psychiatrist for whatever reason, and you get your diagnosis and you leave. It wasn't like, I mean, you get your therapy, you stay. Uh, Even as a young man, I was like, I don't want to be in therapy. I felt like I was crazy and stupid, because prior to coming into the military, people told me my mother was crazy. People made fun of my mother. So here I am being diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. I'm like, man, I'm crazy too. So it
Mhm.
all happened when we were in the Persian Gulf. And if you get a chance, look up the USS Stark. The ship was bombed by two missiles, and 37 men were murdered. I was 20, almost 22 years old, 22, 23 years old. Uh, and we had to go to the ship and rescue those men. It was too late. They were dead, but the ship was sinking. So when you look up the USS Stark, you see pictures of it sinking and on fire. I was on there. When you experience an event like that, you're automatically sent to go see a psychiatrist so you can decompress,
Mhm.
explain, talk therapy. I didn't know what talk therapy was even at 22 years old. I didn't know. And so that's
Mhm.
what we were doing. But instead of talking about the incident, we talked about my childhood, because I wanted to talk to the therapist. I was trying to find a way to get out the Navy. And
Okay. Okay.
I thought they would kick me out. And so instead of talking about the incident, I talked about my childhood. I'm feeling these emotions of not loving, not caring, suicidal, all kind of stuff. And I started seeing my first psychiatrist. I think it was like in June of '87, and then we were on deployment. We pulled back into San Diego, and I kept going for a while after that. And then I was diagnosed, and I got out of the Navy. Boom, I left. I ran because I'm like, I can't be in the military, and I'm crazy. I didn't know what it meant. I looked it up. I
Yeah.
knew this for a long time. It didn't start coming out until June of 2021. I started talking about it because I was dating a lady in the medical field, and she's like, Leon, I know what's going on with you. And I was like, oh, so that it started coming out, and I'm like, oh, okay. So we started talking about it, and she said, well, why don't you just talk about it to the world? Why don't you start doing videos?
Yeah.
But she had no clue she knew who I was because she was well versed in narcissism. Then I started
Mhm.
posting videos about it, and she freaked out. She's like, "Oh, nah, we can't date, Leon." So she called it off, and I was like, "All right, you know." But so I went to from I I didn't do anything from 1980. I came back to the Navy in 1988. From 1988
Mhm.
to 2014, I didn't go see any more therapists or anybody. I was in the Navy. My narcissism was full blown, full blast. I was in and out of relationships. I was gaslighting, ghosting, silent treatment, shunning, all of that stuff, and just like going through life because I had like blocked it out. I had just forgot about it. I knew what my diagnosis was, but I wasn't talking about it to anybody because back then, 80s, 90s, and even early 2000s, it wasn't like trending. Now all of a sudden, a few years ago, it's
Mhm.
trending, and I'm dating somebody that's aware of it because she thought that she was dating somebody that was narcissistic, but they weren't diagnosed. And here I go, I pop up,
Right.
and then she give it to me. She lay it on me, and I'm like, okay. So I started. So anyway, 2014, I go back into therapy, seeing psychiatrists and psychotherapists, but I already knew. I guess in the military, they don't really, nobody really talks about it when you're diagnosed. You read your stuff, you find things out. Um, I didn't even know that I had severe PTSD until 2018, but it
Yep.
developed in 1987 from that incident that I'm telling you about.
Mhm.
So instead of talking about that, they could have found my PTSD in '87, they found a narcissism. I went another 26, 27 years with severe PTSD and not being
Undiagnosed.
treated. I was treated for
Mhm.
narcissism, but that's just talk therapy. There's pills for PTSD and anxiety and depression, but there are no pills for narcissism. It's talk
Mhm.
therapy. So I went another 26 years without
Right.
being treated for PTSD, and I was doing other things, having nightmares and acting out, and like I felt crazy, but I couldn't get out. Then I could have had 10 years in, so I just kept going with this mindset. But I was still living as a narcissistic person, a person with severe
Mhm.
PTSD, a person with depression and anxiety, and didn't know that part until 20 some years later. And so 2014, I went back into therapy, left, went back, left. And then 2015, I stayed in therapy for like 8 or 9 months. And then in 2018, they called me back in and say, we misdiagnosed you. We got to look at your PTSD and all these other things. I'm like, well, damn, how long y'all let me go crazy before y'all call me back? You know, y'all give me these pills. I have my talk
Yes.
therapy, and I'm thinking I'm okay. I wasn't okay because I wasn't being treated for depression and PTSD. My PTSD was
Right.
off the scales. So that's how it all happened for me. But the
Yeah.
narcissism was like, so what? Big deal. Because I was successful. I was leading hundreds. I was leading thousands of people. I was getting promoted. I was getting awarded. I was getting rewarded. So I knew about my narcissism, but nobody else knew until 2021 when my ex was like, "You need to start talking about this." And I started doing videos, and here we are now. And it kind of blew her away because I was like, everything she was reading about, the video was like, boom, boom, boom. I don't have to read anything about it. I was just talking about what I was
Because
doing, how I was feeling.
exactly. And I think that's what makes it easy, right? Or genuine and authentic. And so that is exactly why you were the person that I reached out to. And you were the person that I was like, I have to have this conversation with Leon. And so, again, I can't thank you enough for agreeing to come on. But there are a few questions before we move on. And we haven't gotten there yet, but I was going to get there. One person says, would you give to an empath to break away? Because one of the things I wanted us to talk about was the whole struggle and pull of sticking and staying, right? Because I love this person and I know that there has been some trauma, right? And so and we'll also circle back to trauma bonding, but I know that there has been some trauma. And so I'm just flailing and holding on, right? It's almost like those those toys. Remember the Weeble Wobbles, right? You keep
Mhm.
knocking it over and it keeps getting back up, right? And so that's how empaths operate in relationships with narcissists. So the question is, what advice would you yourself give to an empath to break away from a narcissistic relationship?
You have to understand that as long as you're dating me, you'll never reach your full potential as a loving, caring person with me. You might love and care your kids and your friends, your family, but when it comes to your man, say for instance, you're an empath and I'm a right, you are, I'm a narcissist, I am, and we're dating. You unless I go into therapy and you go to therapy with me and we talking it out, we got the talk therapy going and I'm growing and I want this change. I want to change my behaviors. I want to get better. I want to stay married. I want to get to our 50-year anniversary. I want to treat the kids better. I want to love you more. I want to touch you more. I want to appreciate you more. If I'm not doing all those things, I'm going to waste your time for another 10, 15, 20, 30 years. You're going to stay an empath
Mm-hmm.
at this level. Whereas you can be an empath
Mm-hmm.
with somebody that's not narcissistic at this level. There's a lot more in you than you even know. But as long as you're with me, you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to reach that potential because you're always trying to go back and fix me. I'm always hurting your feelings. I'm always making you cry. You're always wondering about me. You're always caring about me. And I'm not giving you anything. I'm giving you about 20% of what you're giving me.
Mm-hmm.
The reciprocity is extremely low from me to you. So it's going to be a waste of your time. You may go to college, get your degree. I might downplay it. I may be jealous of your success. You know, I'm not cooking for you. We're not making love. I'm barely having sex with you. I'm barely touching you. So I'm ignoring you. I'm giving you the silent treatment. You just hurt. Before you know it, you're 90 years old and I'm 90 and I die and you like lost part of your life because you were empath, putting all your time waiting on Leon to change, and Leon's not going to change. Now I'm in therapy. I didn't answer your question. I was in therapy for a whole year. My therapy stopped in 2015. But what people don't know
Mm-hmm.
is narcissistic people are, I think, probably sociopaths or psychopaths. In my medical record, it says therapy says indefinite.
Mm-hmm.
So my
Mm-hmm.
therapy is forever. So I can go tomorrow if I need it. But what helps me is this videos, podcasts, interviews, all of that. That helps me talk about it. Um, Being alone helps me better myself. It helps me realize the type of woman that I want to be with, wanting to be married and not want to be lonely, not want to die alone. And so my therapy is indefinite. This is what this is therapy for me now. And so back to the empath, it the I highly recommend that you either get into therapy with Leon, give it 6 months, give it a year, and see if he gets better. If he doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
you can't. You're gonna waste your life. You're gonna die with a broken heart or from a
Mm-hmm.
broken heart. How could you not? You're such a giving person. Empaths are giving person, success,
Yeah.
supportive. They appreciate people. They celebrate people, but then they hurt too because like at the end of the day, they feel lonely, drained, empty, and nobody's paying it to them. So if you want to die with a broken heart, stay with a Leon. If you don't, it's gonna hurt, but damn it, you're just gonna have to miss me and get away and find yourself. Period. You already know who you are. Empaths are chosen by
Bingo.
yeah, you already know. Empaths are chosen by the universe. So you all are special, loving, caring, nurturing people. You're gonna find a better man that's gonna be with you the right way. You can't get it from Leon. He doesn't want help. He doesn't get help. Doesn't think anything wrong with him. So he's gonna drain the hell out of you.
Mm-hmm. Drain the hell out of you. So I hope you are listening, ladies. But also, I don't want it to go unnoted that there are Leonas, right? Isn't that what you refer to them as, Leon? That there are
Right.
Leonas out there. And so that, females that's having narcissistic kept coming up for me like during this time. And as I've continued to kind of walk in this part of the journey, is that a lot of the studies are really based upon white men, right? And so that's why it's not highly talked about in our communities. Like again, the word narcissism, narcissistic, gaslighting, all of that just kind of really opened up. I believe during the pandemic is when you start seeing it a whole lot more. But I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it wasn't really talked about or touched upon in our communities because all of the studies have primarily been surrounded by like white men. And so I think that's why the conversation is always that men are narcissists, but there are a ton of women out here that are narcissistic. And one thing you talked about, Leon, was the triangulation that comes as the result of a Leona, right? And can you just touch on that for a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, men can triangulate too. I've done that, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's part of being promiscuous, you know. But the female narcissistic woman, I don't know if they were diagnosed, but I met three that I dated, and I would never, just like dating me. I'm like, you gross, you know, you are, ugh, I can't
When
stand you, you know.
you know, right?
And so I can deal with them, but men, and I'm talking to men now that are empaths that are dealing with narcissistic women or women with the traits. They never been diagnosed, but these men are reading up on like, man, Leon, this is her. Well,
Yeah.
in order to get diagnosed, it's either by, I think, a psychiatrist or psychotherapist. But the women, um, they're very insecure. They need attention. They need reassuring confidence. They need their ego stroked. They will remind you of their last boyfriend and make you think that you're less than the last boyfriend. They'll bring that up. They're very sexual. They're very seductive. They can be very
Mm-hmm.
vindictive, very manipulative, and very mean.
Mm-hmm.
I know some of them that if they sat down and got their talk therapy and got diagnosed, it'll happen. Because I see a lot of myself in them, so I'm able to identify it right off the bat. A lot of these women they like attention, they love it, just like a male, just like a Leon. You know, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I think the women will. Some of them won't even die. Some of them won't even deny it. You know, uh, I think very. They are very emotional detached, just like the males. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they can be very promiscuous, just like the males. They don't have a problem with having two or three men to get all their needs met. They will lie in your face. It's everything just like a male narcissist, you know. But they'll have the
Mm-hmm.
men that are not as secure. They won't have not alpha males. They're gonna get alpha males. They're gonna get all types of males, but they will gaslight those men. They will give them a silent treatment. They will love bomb them in the beginning, as far as when it's from a sexual perspective, right? Maybe a little
Mm-hmm.
gift here or there, cooking for them, being very, very seductive. Very narcissistic women are very territorial, very possessive too. About so they can not care about you quick, just like that. Um, they
Mm-hmm.
know that they don't want to feel the hurt and pain, just like I don't want to feel my hurt and pain. So when the men are pushing to be closer to them and to have a future with them, to make life plans and goals, the further that narcissistic woman's going to go away, just like me, because they're afraid to
Mm-hmm.
commit, they're afraid to fall in love, they're afraid to love, they don't like to feel the empathy. Lack of empathy is the same thing. So I am aware of who they are when I'm around them. I can't diagnose people. I'm not qualified to do that. But I see
Right.
certain
Right.
traits. I know how certain, I wouldn't allow myself to. It was easy for me to not allow myself to get attached, emotionally attached to anybody. So
Mm-hmm.
to not get attached to somebody that's possibly a narcissistic woman is just as easy, you know?
Right. Okay, all right. And again, they are saying thank you for your transparency, and that this is super insightful. Another person asked, how can you get a narcissist to seek therapy, right? Because one, therapy in I'll say the Black community, we tend to shy away from it, right? Because it's that old mindset of what happens in this house stays in this house. You know, you are to be seen and not heard. And so just having that, no, and especially for men, right? They don't want to be vulnerable and having someone identify or point out the things that they're lacking in. And so then if we couple that with having narcissistic traits or tendencies, they damn sure ain't trying to go sit in front of no therapist, right? Because now I'm completely exposed, and we know that exposure is the number one trigger for a narcissist. So they're asking, how can you get a narcissist to seek therapy? And then we can talk about why it's a trigger.
You have to. So nobody gave me an ultimatum. Nobody told me. I don't even remember, Ebony. I don't even remember why I was in the psychotherapist's office. I have no clue. I was close to the
Wow.
hospital. I was 5 minutes
Mhm.
away. I was in charge of the base up here at Great Lakes. I don't even remember why. I don't know why. Maybe it looked at my medical records like, hey, you need to come back over here because you haven't had therapy in 20 some years. I don't know. But I was like, I ain't going back over there. I know what's wrong with me. I went in and checked in, and I looked at my medical record last year. I was in the psychotherapist's office for 50 minutes and I left out. I went back to see
Mm-hmm.
a psychiatrist. I was in her office for 18 minutes and I walked out. And I was rude and disrespectful. And they write all these things down when you come in and see them. But I don't know why
Yeah.
I don't know how I got there. I don't remember volunteering or none of that. But I was probably told by one of my senior people at work, and they may have emailed my boss. I don't remember. Maybe it was a follow-up appointment from years ago. I don't know, but I went and left and then went and stayed again. Um, for me, as cocky and arrogant as I was, there was nobody going to tell me I need to. Women told me, Leon, you need some help. You need to go see a psychiatrist, and I'll get super pissed. So
Mm-hmm.
it's your delivery. If sadly, if you tell a narcissistic person or someone with the tendencies and traits that, well, Leon, if you don't get help, we're gonna leave. I'm file for the divorce. That's the worst thing you can tell them, because I was like, so, like my wife, like, we need to get marriage counseling. If we don't get marriage counseling, it's not gonna work. I'm like, well, I guess it ain't gonna work then. I went to marriage counseling, but I walked out of there too. And so I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going into therapy knowing that I'm the wrong dude, knowing that I'm a wrong person, knowing that I wronged my exes, knowing that I'm arrogant and cocky and self-centered and over the top and overbearing and experimental and competitive. I go into therapy knowing like this is who I am. Y'all ain't gonna change me. How dare you tell me there's anything wrong with me? I'm the best guy around this space. I'm ranked #1. I'm Sailor of the Year. I'm Recruiter of the Year. Blah 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 blah. Y'all want me to sit in front of somebody so they can tell me there's something wrong with me? Nah, y'all need to go to damn therapy. I ain't going. So that was me. But that's the hardest part about getting somebody to go to think that
Yes.
there's nothing wrong with them. And the family is being destroyed. The kids are being broken. The kids are afraid of dad. I dealt with all of that. It depends on you. It has to be your delivery. And if you need to
Mm-hmm.
know your man or woman enough to say, hey, Leon, can you go talk to your boy, or have your boy come over and we drink a beer and say, yo, man, Leon, let me talk to you, brother. I know you're gonna get mad, but your white woman to talk to because blah blah blah. I listen to certain people, Ebony.
Right.
Some people I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't give a damn about. Some people I'm like, you can get the hell out of my face. I ain't listening to you. But certain people I talk to. So if you can get your husband to sit down with a guy that he likes, he respects, a man that he has he doesn't want to let down, a man that he doesn't want to hurt, a man that he wants to grow for, that man could help him out. That's the way to do it, because you can't just tell him he needs therapy or he's dysfunctional or he's crazy like his mama. All of these things I heard. Tell me those
Absolutely.
things, I'm gonna turn my back
Mm-hmm.
on you. I'm gonna become even more pissed, and I already enjoy being evil. So it's just gonna get worse for you.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand. I like making you cry. I'm not gonna cry. I like hurting your feelings. You can't hurt my feelings. I'm a cold-hearted son of a bitch, Excuse me, but you can't
Yeah.
hurt me like
No.
I can hurt you. So if you can find a
Mm-hmm.
guy, a man in his family, somebody that he looks up to and respects, and get him to talk to your husband or boyfriend, yeah. Like some women, for the first time a week ago, I had an actual diagnosed black male narcissist call me. His wife found my video,
Wow.
and matter of fact, I need to reach out to him tonight because I haven't talked to him in a few days. I know that he's running from me, but I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him.
I know
I'm gonna
that's
get
right.
him. Yeah, I'm gonna get him. So he reached out and he was nervous, like, man, I don't know. I got you, my brother. So if you can find a man for your whoever asked that question, for your boyfriend or husband or wife or your girlfriend, somebody that they
Mm-hmm.
love and respect, have them talk to him. It starts there.
Yeah, it always starts with a conversation, right? So that we can acknowledge that it's there, right? That things are being broken. That, like you said, one thing you said a couple of things, but you talked about like just breaking down the family. They said thank you for that. That was very helpful. But breaking down the family, breaking down the kids. Like, let's kind of touch on how the kids are impacted. And a lot of times the kids will turn on the pathetic parent, right? Because they really want to appease the dad, and nobody wants to upset dad. Nobody wants dad to become enraged or angry or even disappointed, right? What would you say to that? Because the empath is just like, I'm just trying to be nurturing. I'm trying to be open. I'm trying to encourage the kids to love on you, but then you work so hard at getting them to turn on me to fulfill your own needs, to kind of isolate, the other party. So what would you say about how the kids are in this type of
So
dynamic?
my kids are 22, 26, and 27, and I'm struggling with them right now as we speak because of the way I was years ago. My kids
Yeah.
barely reach out, and it's hurtful, but this is what I get. I understand how they feel now through therapy. I understood because I was living my life, trying to live my life vicariously through my children. I wanted them to be
Mhm.
boxers. I wanted them to play football. I wanted them to join the Navy. And they were like, and so overt narcissists, people like myself, can be very overbearing, can be very competitive, over the top, right? In your face, very social. And so I pushed my kids to a limit of where they were uncomfortable being around me.
Mhm.
Um, I had to learn how to love my kids right where they were. One of my children wanted to be a dancer. The other one didn't want to play football. He wants to be an actor. And I'm like, so you have to love them right where they are and understand that's what they want to do. Because I did what my dad wanted me to do. He wanted me to box. I boxed. Wanted me to play football. Play football. He wanted me to join the military. I did that. So I expected my kids to do the same thing for me. But I didn't understand. I had to understand that my wife is different. So she wasn't like that. She wasn't with that. So she's more of the nurturing type, hands-on. Like, this is what they want to do, Leon. Let's support them in this. And so I was too pushy.
Mhm.
I was too hard. I wasn't understanding enough. I wasn't loving enough. I wasn't caring enough. I was verbally abusive to my children.
Mhm.
So I was mentally abusive to my children. So they kind of locked in on that. And it was years ago, but they still remember what I said to them and how I treated them and how I made them feel. And it wasn't good enough. My youngest son told me that, you're my dad. You shouldn't be saying those things to me and this and that. And first thing I want to do is get mad, get pissed. Who the hell you think you talk about? Instead of listening and
Yeah.
letting them open up. I didn't. I shut
Mhm.
down. And I'm dealing with that now. So you have to be careful with the children, a narcissistic person. You can't be as overbearing, as over talkative and overly aggressive. You can't expect them to do what you want them to do. They have their own mind. They have their own personalities. You have to allow them to grow and move forward, and you can't force it on them. You can't expect them to do what you did or didn't do. They have their genetics and DNA. They have yours. They have their mom. So they're going to take one or two paths. But whichever path they go, you
Mhm.
have to be supportive in that path. And I wasn't supportive enough.
Okay, thank you for that. There says you're helping the people. That's our mission, right? To be able to help the people. There's another question, and you kind of just hit on it just a little bit just now. Are there any traits of narcissism that are hereditary? I do feel like a lot of times, because of trauma, because of the environments that people are raised in, because of the exposure or lack of exposure to some things, right? That's how a lot of those traits begin to develop early on. And then they just kind of burst at the seams. So the question is, are there any traits of narcissism that are hereditary?
I think the lack of empathy and um, not wanting to show or not wanting to love, being
Mm-hmm.
emotionally detached, yes. Addictions. So my addictions were so severe and intense that they overrode my ability or inability to care about how my ex-wife, ex-girlfriends were feeling at the time. If I want to go smoke or drink, I'm gonna do that regardless if you want me to do it or not, because I'm addicted to smoking cigarettes and cigars. It wasn't weed. If I want to go watch porn, I'm gonna go watch porn, regardless if you want me to go watch porn or not. And so my addictive personality, which I get from my mother, made me want to do what I want to do, regardless of how she felt. And if she wanted to be cuddled at that
Mm-hmm.
moment and I want to go watch porn, I'm gonna go watch porn. Or if she wanted to talk about the relationship and I want to go smoke or drink, I'm gonna go smoke or drink because my addictive personality from my mother is driving me to want to go do that. And I don't want to hear what the hell she's got to say. This is not the time to
Right.
talk. And maybe I want to go flirt with somebody. Maybe I want to go cheat. And she wanted to talk about planning a trip next year. I didn't want to talk about planning a trip next year. My addictive personality is what I wanted at that moment, the way I was feeling, my emotions. This is what I want. So what you want is not important right now. So my mother was
Mm-hmm.
like that. My dad had a very extreme personality. So he's like overbearing, and I'm overbearing too. My mother's personality was very addictive. So I had addiction to porn, addiction to drinking and smoking. And so when those things would arise, her feelings and emotions, my ex-wife, ex-girlfriend, wasn't important to me. So I think that's a
Mhm.
trait that's passed down as well. And so from that, it's like, how can I strive in a relationship or even a marriage if I don't have empathy? I'm doing these things, and
Mm.
well, Leon, you don't understand how I feel. No, I don't. And I don't want to hear it. That type of thing.
Yeah.
And they
And I don't
start
care to
crying.
understand it. Yeah.
Yeah, don't start all that damn crying. What the hell you crying for? At least I didn't punch you. My mother got beat. I ain't beat you. I'm just rude and disrespectful. Get over it, type of thing. And so, yeah, all that stuff is hereditary.
Mhm.
You just pass it on. And my father was verbally abusive. My father was mentally abusive. I was verbally abusive and mentally abusive too. So his dad was probably verbally and mentally abusive. This is why I tell not just empaths, if anybody that's in love with somebody, if that person's not going to get help, you can't do anything about it. Because if
Exactly.
my grandfather was mentally abusive and my father was mentally abusive, my grandfather was 80, my dad died at 66. That's 146 years of being mentally abusive. And here I am, 57. So you're talking about damn near 200 years. Let's say I was 30. You're talking about I'm damn near 200 years of being mentally abusive. You can't do anything with that. A psychiatrist can barely talk to me and talk me out of being verbally abusive. You know why? You know why? Because I like being verbally abusive. Because I know being verbally abusive changes your physiological makeup. It makes you curl up in a ball. It makes you cry. It makes you respect me when I say I don't want to talk. It makes you run
I
and
was
hide. It
gonna say, and
makes
stay under your thumb too.
yeah, leave me the hell alone and keeps you in my, yeah, exactly. So you're talking about almost 200 years of untreated PTSD traits or just untreated narcissistic traits.
Mhm.
200, almost 200 years. And then here I am. Here's Leon, the young narcissist at 22 years old. And here now I'm 57 with therapy. I'm better off. So a lot of that is hereditary. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Um, all right, so someone says, my husband of 32 years divorced me, stopped initiating contact with our two older daughters, and everything you talked about, I have lived for the last 10 years.
Yep.
And so I think by having these conversations, right, it's letting people know like you're not crazy, you're not in this thing alone, and that there are so many other people that have experienced this. And sometimes we don't even know what to call it, especially when we're in it, right? And go
Well,
ahead.
that lady said 30 years, and in the last 10 years, she experiences
Mm-hmm.
narcissistic people, the ones, let's say they are diagnosed like me.
Mm-hmm.
That lack of empathy runs so deep to where it feels like a damn drug. I could make a woman cry and sit there and
Mm-hmm.
smile and smirk while she cried. So you know why? I would let her see me looking at her like this. You know why? And I know that scares
Yeah.
people. I know I trick people. But I did that in an effort to mentally paralyze her. So when I heard her feelings again,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm going to, she would dare cry in front of
Yep.
me. You know how sick that is to be okay with that? I was okay with that. So she was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, Leon.
Try to
So
stuff it. Yep.
essentially, she lost her voice in a relationship. There were no, she didn't show any emotions until I come home and like, okay, baby, what's up? I want to have sex, and we're gonna go here, go there. Now I expect her to be happy, and guess what? She's so fearful of me, she's gonna be happy, but it's not gonna
Mm-hmm.
be real. But as long as you take care of
Right.
my needs, it doesn't matter. And so that man that left his wife after 32 years to her and her wife, her and her children, he's like this. Sadly, they don't give a
Yep.
damn. They don't care
Mm-hmm.
about your hurt and pain. Dad left. We mom and dad were married for 32 years. Dad just walked away, and he treated me and my daughters sad like this for 10 years. He did. It's sad. I feel for you. I feel for your daughters, but you have to understand that man's mindset. He's gone, sadly. And
And he probably was gone a long time ago, right? I believe, and you can she can add on, but probably only made it to the 32 years because, like we said in the beginning, that empath is going to hold on, right? And so it's like he's going to get better, and he'll kind of breadcrumb her and gaslight her, like giving her just enough to keep her right where she needed to be. And so they got to 32 years, yes, but that marriage was probably over a long time ago.
it was over. I told a lady, and she cried. And I said, "Look, ma'am, I'm sorry. I got to tell you the truth. She said, Leon, how did he leave me at 15 years? I said, he left you after year one.
Yeah.
So sometimes they stay for money, for children, for college, the house, the car, whatever. But they are able to stay for that long when they stop liking you or never loved you because there is another woman involved. Women get mad at me
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. I know I trigger people. I don't do it on purpose, but I'm telling y'all the truth.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time, Ebony, where I dated 4 women at one time. Couldn't
Mm-hmm.
care less if I got caught. Whatever. That's how I was. Ebony, I was in my 20s. My narcissism was through the freaking roof.
I'm
I get
sure.
caught. I got caught plenty of times with women and look at both of them like, look, y'all need to make a decision. Either y'all both gonna stay with me or one of y'all gonna go. Yeah.
Yes.
And they'd be like, well, damn,
And
Leon.
nine
I'm
times
like,
out of 10, they both stayed.
yeah. I'm like, well, damn, nothing. It is what it is. That's what we gotta make a decision right now. Oh, well, girl, I'm like, y'all got a minute. I'm gonna walk away from both of y'all. And then boom, they're gonna stay. Because they were just as broken
Yes.
and dysfunctional as I was. But Ebony, I can only do that with women that were like me. A strong woman is
Yes.
not going to
And
take
that,
that from me.
yeah.
A strong woman is not going to take that from me at all. I
Mm-mm.
tried it. It didn't work. So,
Yeah.
I look for women that were POLR, the path of least resistance. Somebody that's not going to
Yes.
challenge me. Somebody that's not going to question me. Somebody that I am their entire world, but they're not my entire world. I'm my entire
Mm-hmm.
world, but I'm your entire world. So your world revolves around me and making
Yes.
me happy. And so, yeah, I hate to see people's daughters go through this with meeting a guy like me. I hate to see women and men, people's sons go through this meeting a woman like me. That's why I'm helping people. I can't hold back. I got to tell the truth. I want people to know. I want people to be educated on this.
Absolutely. And look, and so earlier I had found this quote or this, and it says the narcissist wants the authority of a king with the accountability of a toddler. And so when
Pretty
you
much.
talked about the path of least resistance, that's exactly what it is in a nutshell,
Yeah.
and then people are like, I don't understand how this person is operating like a little boy, right? Because what they gave me in the beginning was enlightenment, these intense conversations back to
It
the
was a
beginning of
lie.
our station where it's a lie and they're not able to sustain it, right?
Can't sustain it. Can't sustain it at all because there's no longevity or staying power behind it. It's going
Mhm.
to taper off. I had the ability. I could get women. I can get Asian women. I get Latin women, black,
Mhm.
white, Aboriginal women. It didn't matter, but I couldn't keep them
Right.
because
Right.
I'm very worldly, right? Which doesn't make me intelligent. I made
Mhm.
myself intelligent, so I thought I was, but I could talk about a lot of
Yeah.
things. But that was just to be seductive and manipulative to draw you in,
Mhm.
to make you drop your guard. And now it's like, you're in love with me, but I'm not in love with you. It ain't gonna happen. And guess what? I'm not sorry. I'm telling you,
Right.
Ebony, it was a sick way to live. If I hadn't gotten
Yeah.
therapy, I'd be dead. I'd be a 57-year-old whore, or I'd be dead. But therapy is what
Thank you
really.
for that too. Yes.
Mhm. You're
Yeah.
welcome. But therapy is the only thing that got me straight. I was very cocky. 32
Mhm.
year naval veteran. People kissing my butt on a daily. People kiss my butt on hourly. Oh yeah,
Right.
it's something wrong with me. Yeah, right. I'm in charge, MFs. I'm the best guy
Yeah.
around here. And how could there be something wrong with me? But there
And
was
who
plenty wrong
wouldn't
with
want
my
a Leon, right? And
huh?
that's the mindset, right? Who wouldn't want a Leon, right? Because I'm gracing you with my presence, right? And
Who
so
that's
it
right.
isn't for you.
Yeah. Who
Leon, talk about
who wouldn't
who wouldn't want a Leon, right?
and that
But
was
how? So one of the things too. Go ahead.
that was my mindset. You good.
Oh, okay. How like when you initially would start a relationship, right? So like you said, you had like 4 women. You could date 4 women all at the same time, right? Because to most people, they're like, how do you have enough time in a day to even do that? But from experience, I know that where there's a will, there's a way, right? And then
Hmm.
how early on in those relationships were you telling women like, yo, I never had nobody like you. I love you. Like just early, like just laying it on thick. What was your
Well,
pattern with that?
I laid it on thick the moment they stared at me for longer than 3 seconds. So if you stared at me for longer than 3 seconds, bad for you. I
It's
never told them I
over.
loved them. Probably later on it
Okay.
didn't mean anything. But um, I got so comfortable and so cocky and arrogant. I got so to whereas I would tell them, look, you're not the only person. I'm just letting you know right now. So don't trip when you see me with somebody else.
Yeah.
And they would be like, oh,
And they
you ain't
wouldn't
shit.
trip.
But you know what? I knew what I was doing because I knew women love honesty. Although it was brutal and it was
Yeah.
disrespectful and rude to say those things, that they would be number two or three or four. They're like, well, you are honest, Leon. And my last boyfriend, he was sneaking. He just didn't have to sneak. Yep, I ain't sneaking. And I just, when they went with it, and now I'm thinking about this, I don't know how I did that. I really don't. I really don't. I just, by the time I get sick, but they think if they go with it, we're going with it. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
It's going to be you,
If
me,
you
and
like
her, and
it, I
her.
love it, right?
Huh?
I said, if you like it, I love it, right?
Yeah. Bottom
All
line.
right, there's another question. Is it typical for for narcissistic behavior to get worse if they are not the primary focus?
Oh,
There
yeah.
has been a cancer
Yeah. Because,
diagnosis in
yeah.
my family of
First,
narcissists, and my life has got so much worse. Okay, so talk
yeah.
about that. Is it typical for the behavior to get worse when they are not your primary focus? So when women start picking
Okay.
up on Leon is out here doing his thing, I'm going to shift my focus and pivot. Then what happens with the Leon or the
They
Leona?
get jealous. Their rage comes to the forefront. Highly upset, pissed off. Hoovering starts. They'll start to stalk you. They'll berate you. Yeah, they're not going to berate you in the beginning, but they're going to stalk you to get you back in. So you know what they do? When the focus is not on them, they start love bombing you again. I did that because I knew what I needed to do in the beginning to
Mm-hmm.
get her. I knew what she liked. I studied her. I studied her mind. I studied her body. And so if I'm not now, I'm not the focus because you got therapy or you got your aunt telling you about me and your girlfriend telling me to leave me alone because I ain't shit. Okay, yeah. And so you might get a little confident, you might get your little self-esteem up, you might start moving away from me. But I'm going to also become better, but I'm also going to make you jealous. I'm a flirt with women like low key. You're gonna feel it. You're gonna see it. You're gonna understand it. Somebody by some kind of way, somebody we're gonna get back to you that I saw Leon out here doing this, girl doing that. Especially if we're still together, we're still living together. I can let you get the upper
Mm-hmm.
hand on me. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. Oh no, I can't
Right.
handle that shit. I gotta hurt your feelings. I gotta hurt your feelings through your friends, through your family. Somebody gonna see me doing something that's gonna get back to you. Although you want the relationship, but I'm not right for you,
Yeah.
and you're trying to get away. You want your help from your sister, your aunt, your therapist. Oh no, you ain't gonna just get away from me like that. Hell no. I was left as a kid. My mother left me, so I won't experience that pain no more. Oh no, so I gotta hurt you before you hurt me.
Never.
So
Mhm.
when you start to get away, and I notice I'm not your focus anymore, I gotta reel you back in by love bombing you all over again. Now I'm like, I'm going to church, I'm reading the Bible, I might go to therapy. But now you piss me off because now you're trying to get away. So I'm gonna get you back, and then I'm gonna destroy you and hurt you all over again so I can leave on top. So
Leave
that's
it
what's
on
going
top. That now that's paramount, right? And I hope that people are really listening and taking these gems and these jewels that are being dropped here, because the thing is we're talking about exposure here, right? We're talking about acknowledging that a thing exists so that we can no longer turn a blind eye to it, so that people can operate in a different capacity. And so with that being said, let's tap into those flying monkeys, right? So when you get to the point of saying, you know what, all right, now I need to start working on me. Now I need to go inward. I need to start my healing process, right? And those flying monkeys or those people that are like, oh, I saw Leon and Leon said da 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 da, or Leon is doing really great things, or girl, you shouldn't look at Leon like that. What do you say about those, the empath or the individual and the flying monkeys?
So the flying monkeys for me or for her?
Both, because we already know you have your flying monkeys, right? They're gonna keep you here, right? Because now
Right.
the whole goal was to look at her like she's crazy for even thinking that Leon could be anything but an awesome man.
So right. So that's a lot of reverse psychology that needs to be done on my end, right?
Yeah.
To get her away from her. So I'll probably lie on a girlfriend or say something about a girlfriend that she told me about a girlfriend months or years ago and make her feel bad about believing her and not believing me, right?
Yep.
You know, maybe I
Hmm.
can get better, but give me a chance, but don't let your girl, your girl got 3 kids, about baby daddies, or your aunt ain't never been married, those type
Yep.
of things
Yep.
that I would use against her. And she'll go, because women are emotional, they don't want to be associated with those type of people that don't have what she has. But it just
Hmm.
happens that way by virtue of proximity, right?
Yeah.
That's your family, your girlfriends, your co-workers, right? And so I have to make her think about what she's telling me about what her girlfriend said about me or what her aunt said about me. So one thing I didn't do, I didn't go against the women's mother. I love the mothers, because I lost my mother 3 times. When we lost our
Okay.
house
So
when she
you had a
started.
boundary there or a standard.
Yeah, so my little self-imposed boundary. The moms were important to me. But I'm like, man,
Yeah.
how am I, like, the moms important to me? How am I hurting their daughters? But anyway, back to what I was saying. There would be
Yeah.
reverse psychology, psychological reciprocity. Um, Asking her a question that I had to answer to, knowing that she wanted to answer it, but it was my answer, not her answer. But I made her think that it was her answer. Anything involving me, as far as her girlfriends or family telling them something negative about me, I had to reverse it. So you trying to tell me
Hmm.
that you shouldn't be with me? Is that what you're trying to say? Well, not really, Leon. Well, okay, if you shouldn't be with me, is that based on what you saying or based on what your girlfriend's saying that cheats on her boyfriend? So you gonna listen to her, not listen to me? So now she's like, all right, baby, let's go get some soup, and talk about it. Let's go to Panera Bread. And we talk about it. So I had to calm that, situation down, because in all actuality, she
Yeah.
was right by not trying to be with me. But
Hmm.
I wasn't ready to let her go. I wasn't ready. You can't leave me first. That ain't gonna happen.
Right.
I've been
Right.
discarded as a kid. I've been pushed to the side as a kid. I've been ignored as a kid. I'd be damned if I'm allow that to happen to me in my 30s, 40s, and 50s. So now I know that you're trying to get away. You got flying monkeys. Let me get you back. Let me love bomb you, get you to fall in love with me, and let me hurt you on my way out.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
it's the same thing as you losing the focus on me, and I wanted the focus to be back on me. I can do that by reassuring confidence, or start doing the things that you want me to do a year ago. Now I do it, and you're like, oh, this feels so good. It ain't real.
It's temporary, right? It's not real. And I think
Yeah.
it's just that. And so as you were talking about like getting someone to be confused and questioning about what's right, you know, can you expound on the fact that narcissists are completely committed to misunderstanding you, right? And so it's like, I just said it was raining. We know it's raining. And you're like, hell no, it ain't. I just saw 3 rainbows in the sun. Like, you know what I mean? And so it's like, just how committed they are to creating that level of confusion and misunderstanding everything that you said. And so then the person on the opposite end kind of falls down into that rabbit hole of saying, well, that's not what I meant, Leon, or you know that that's not what I meant. But then you're trying to convince them that, and this is what I heard. Well, that's not what you heard.
Right. So my thing is to convince you that your word don't mean anything to me. Narcissistic people don't like being wrong. And so if you
Mhm.
prove me wrong, you can get punished later on. And so we'll go back and forth till you go, okay, all right, Leon. Yeah, okay, there's a leprechaun hanging from a tree. I know it's a damn leprechaun out there. I know I saw it, whatever the case may be. But I can't be wrong. I don't like being wrong. Being wrong doesn't feel good. And so as long as you believe me, believe in me, and you doubt yourself, whether it's gaslighting or not, I'm going to be okay. But when you start proving me wrong and you start sticking to that, we'll have some major issues. That's really the beginning of the end in the relationship, because now you got your confidence back, you got your self-esteem back. Regardless if it's your flying monkeys helping you, your therapist helping you, we're gonna have major issues. So usually that's the beginning of the end, because then it goes from that to becoming violent. I was never physically violent with anybody, right? And so once you start beating me or winning the conversation or winning the arguments, I got to do something that I know I can beat you at, and it's usually going to be physical. I can take another question, and I got a call here in 10 minutes, but um, so yeah, I have to win at all costs. I had to make you feel small enough that you kind of like silence yourself. You start doubting
Mhm.
yourself, don't feel important, don't want to talk because I'm going to put you down. So it's not. It's all about. It's now. It's all about control. However you look at it, it's all about me having to have that control. I'm actually insecure and inferior. You don't know that. You're actually smarter than me and stronger than me, emotionally stronger than me. I'm not gonna let you know that. So we're gonna play my game, and I need to be in charge and dominate and be domineering to you, so that you can't be your full person. You're only who I
Yeah.
want you to be. You're only who I want you to be.
Mhm. And so, listen, thank you so much for all of that. But before I let you go, and you guys, Mr. Leon Walker is out in Chicago, right? And so there is a time difference. But before, I wanted you to share with the people upcoming book release on the 7 Loveless Traits. So just kind of give them whatever it is that you want the people to have. And again, I definitely want to respect your time, and I thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on with me tonight. So share with us about the 7 Loveless Traits, and I'll be sure to keep circulating the flyer to the book because I believe it's going to be dope. So
So it comes out March 14th. I'm going to do a pre-sale about starting in February, maybe the end of January, for about 4 to 6 weeks. I'm going to do free book giveaways on podcasts, people to interview me like you. We'll do another show. It'll be 1 hour of free book giveaways. I think the hardcover is $32. I don't like setting price that high, but Amazon
yeah.
does it because of the paper and the ink. Paperback is
Mhm.
23, and I think the ebook is 9.99. Um, it comes out March 14th. Uh, it's the opposite of the 5 love languages. It's the 7 Loveless Traits. So your love language is acts of service. Mine, as a narcissistic person, is acts of disservice. Right? Your love language is communication. Mine is bad communication or lack communication. And so it's the opposite of the 5 love languages. He wrote a wonderful book. It's about 378 pages. Again, it'll be out March 14th. Pre-sales will be the end of this month. I'm going to post a video about it. You can buy it at Barnes Noble, Book Baby, Amazon, all over the world. So it'll be coming out March 14th. I plan to do a book tour, Cleveland, Indiana, Detroit, other places too. So yeah, the 7 Loveless Traits. I wrote it almost 2 years ago, and I just decided to get it out. I could have got it out last year, but I took my time. So yeah, the 7 Loveless Traits, all about narcissism. It talks about my childhood, the medications I was on, my medical record. Some of it's in there. It's a lot. I think it's a very deep book. Would agree that it's a. I think a lot of people get a lot out of it.
Okay, okay. Thank you. And so the last thing I wanted to say, I saw a quote this site, and it says they say that everybody should get a trophy, but it's up to us to find the trophy in everybody. And
Mhm.
so with that, do you believe that narcissists can learn to love? And then I'll let you
So
go.
great question. So in therapy, we talk about that, and I was like, she asked me, I was like, yeah. She said, well, is there anything that is there anything you could think you could love about your girlfriend? And I was like, hmm. Because me, love was like, I was afraid of love because it was like all encompassing, like, love me, hold me, marry me, stay with me forever, don't cheat, don't go away, communicate, touch me, cuddle, all that. And I was like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to love. I hate love. Nobody love me. And she's like, I said, well, I like her forehead. She's like, okay, that's a start. I said, I like her little ears. I like her lips. She said, what about a person? I said, yeah. So I had to piece things together, right?
Mhm.
Things that I liked about my ex-girlfriend, and I started thinking like, man, I can't do without that. But I had already discarded her and told her I want to go marry her. She was gone already. So I was like, so I said, in the future, and my therapist told me to stop dating. She's like, you need to stop dating for a while. I'm like, what? That's like telling me to stop
I
eating.
agree. Mhm.
Yeah. She said, you need
Yeah.
to stop dating. I'm like, she said, Leon, you're destroying women. I didn't, I'm like, how am I destroying them? You know, I just break up with them. To me, breaking up wasn't a big deal. Divorce wasn't a big deal. It
Yeah.
was like, whatever. So she said, well, can you learn love some things about her? And I'm like, how do I do that? Well, let's start with a little Ford. What do you like about her Ford? And I was like, it's just small. And so she got me to think about those things, right?
Yeah.
And then her
Mhm.
personality, and I liked her smile, her lips, her skin color. She got her hair cut short for me. You know, she was easy to get along with. We didn't argue. And before that, I was looking at all the bad things that I didn't like about her. And the things that I didn't like about her was a lot less than the things that I liked about her. And I
Okay.
still pushed her away. And I was like,
Mhm.
well, damn, what's wrong with me, Doc? You know, I'm like, shit, what the hell? I'm looking at the two negative things. I pushed her away. She got 12 positive things. And now, in my mind, she's a 7. And old dude got it. Now she's a 12. And I lost out. I'm like, well, damn. So, yeah, they love certain things. First, you have to realize, why don't you love? What are you afraid about? So I was took me back to why, because I was afraid of somebody else going to leave me like my mother left me.
Yeah.
That wasn't necessarily true, because women, if they when they did leave me, I pushed them away. I made them leave me. So I
Mhm.
was at that false sense of reality that they're going to leave me anyway. So that was my excuse to not love them. That was my excuse to not to cheat, because I might make myself think, well, sooner or later they're gonna learn that you can't love and they're gonna leave you. So why don't you just start leaving them now? So when they
Yeah.
do, when the breakup happens, you're in charge of the breakup and not them. So you might be
Yep.
able to come back, depending on how bad you hurt them. Then again, you might not. But all in all, you left them first, and you good, Leon. So you don't have to worry about going back, because you made them ugly in your mind, and you good. So being left from my mother hurt me so bad to whereas I made my excuse to leave women their fault.
Of course. Of course. Okay. Well, again, thank you for your time. You know, like I want to respect. I'll talk to you all night. But
Mm-hmm.
that you and I will definitely revisit the conversation, especially when the book comes out, so that we can, just talk openly about that as well. And so we'll definitely be in touch. And again, I appreciate you.
Thanks, Ebony. I appreciate you having me on. It was good, a lot of fun. But I'll be in touch, and we'll get the books out. We'll get it to your audience as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, and have a great evening.
All right. Enjoy your evening. Bye bye.
All right, you too. All right, y'all. So that was Mr. Leon Walker. Thank you guys for tuning in. It was a really, really, really great conversation. And the thing that I enjoy most about being able to have these conversations is that you got the candid version, you got the raw version. So Mr. Walker and I had agreed that we wouldn't really do any preparation outside of just showing up and being committed to showing up for the people. And so thank you all for the comments. Thank you all for taking time away from the game and, to be able to join in with us. And I also want to encourage you to follow Patchwork Human Services on Facebook, Instagram, and over on YouTube. Please go to the YouTube channel where you can like and subscribe to the page, and then share the content and the information that will be coming forth. And again, this tonight's discussion was just a segue into the discussion that we'll be having next Saturday at Polished Barber Company on Philadelphia Pike in Claymont, Delaware. The entry is sold out, and due to the overwhelming response, we just had to kind of close the number off. But we will be having more things coming your way, more open discussions, more intriguing discussions. So if there's anything that you all would like to see come forth through Patchwork Patchwork Human Services, please in the comment. You can DM me on any of the platforms, and I'll be sure to work towards creating some content around it. So thank you guys and have a wonderful